Hi, dear one. Thank you for stopping by. This is part 3 of the video series that I'm doing on codependency and sexless marriages and power struggles in relationships when it comes to sex in a marriage. And one of the things that I wanted to add to this conversation is the idea that when you are not in touch with the self, you are not in touch with how it is you can possibly know how to please yourself. We're not attached to the self, so it's not easy for us and it's not natural for us to know how to come from an authentic place and express ourselves, express ourself through the physical body, so in a sexual way. We're not comfortable with revealing that part of us, and some of us aren't even in touch with that part of ourselves. And so it's impossible to have a healthy relationship, a healthy sexual relationship, when we're not connected to the self, because the self is inside this physical body with these sexual parts that work in a certain way, and when worked the right way can experience pleasure. But when you are out of focus, there are so many layers to this, dear one, and I really hope that you understand that it's not a simple answer to understand what's going on in terms of sex and codependency. It's not. It's sex is affected by many different layers, and it's like Shrek says, the onion. Codependency is sticky and it's prickly. And when it comes to sex, there are many layers to it that you have to be able to look at, peel back, and confront and see if it resonates with you. And then at least begin confronting it and playing with the idea that maybe that's what's happening to me. So, yes, codependents oftentimes use sex as the beginning of a relationship to hook people, to hook men or to hook a female. Men compliment, women act sexual, women also compliment, flirty, all that nonsense, whatever. And then once the relationship is established, what ends up happening is the ability to be fake can only last so long. And then all the dynamics, the true source of the pain begins to flourish. In other words, if I don't feel seen day in and day out by my husband, and I feel like it's his responsibility to make me happy, I'm not going to want to have sex with him if he didn't bring milk home from the grocery store. I'm going to not do that now, because that's a bargaining chip. So you please me, and then I'll please you. You see me, and then I'll F you. You see me, and then I'll do that. You don't see me, then I'm shutting down. So that's the bargaining chip. It's like we're at a casino. So oftentimes people will, one party will punish the other. Like a man in a codependent relationship that knows that his wife needs to be validated through the sexual experience. She feels in control. She feels connected to her husband or her boyfriend when they're in the bedroom. She feels connected to him, which is an inauthentic connection, but it's the only connection that she can relate to because she's so disconnected from the authentic part of herself. So sex is where she feels connected to him. And so if they're in an abusive relationship, he'll hold that against her. So if she's not a good little girl, then he's not going to have sex with her. Now he's got her. So now she'll do whatever she can to get in good graces with him so that he can have sex with her, and then she can feel seen. Very, very unhealthy. Very sad. Very, very sad. That's another layer of this. So I believe that at the crux of this is a disconnection from the self. If I am not connected to myself, then I cannot connect with the sexual side of me and feel in alignment with feeling like I have a right to be pleased in a sexual relationship. I don't feel like I have a right to express myself. I don't feel comfortable expressing myself. Everything's about codependency is all about manipulation and control. So in a sexual relationship with two codependents, sex is often abused and used as a pawn. That's another layer of this. Now, codependents can use anything as a pawn. The male, so if we have two codependents who are constantly battling for first place in the relationship, it could be as simple as he better pick the mail up when he comes home from work today. I'm tired of picking up. I picked the mail up yesterday. It's his turn to pick up the mail. This is the nonsense. And so now she's waiting at the door to make sure that he picks up the mail. That son of a bitch, he didn't pick up the mail. If he thinks I'm having sex with him tonight, he's crazy. And then she either goes to bed later than him, or she goes to bed earlier than him, or she starts with, I have a headache. It's so silly, dear ones, and there's a better way to living than this, than below the veil and playing out these games. And I'm not a religious person, but I and I don't shoot the messengers. I don't care where the message comes from. I don't care if it comes from the inside of a Cracker Jack box. If it resonates with me, that message was for me. So I'm going to scripture. I do not believe in religion. I think religion harms a lot of people. Religion separates us. It says you're Catholic, you're Protestant. It says you're Irish, I'm Italian. It says you're black, I'm white. It says you're Hispanic, you're a Hindu. You're a Latino, you're Asian. You're a Methodist, and I'm a Buddhist. It's and it's not going to help us all get to where we got to go, which is a unity consciousness on a global level. But before we can get to the global level, we got to get into the individual level where I can accept myself as a thinking, feeling, breathing, sexual being. That's part of it. There are some people that are asexual and they don't, especially as they get older, they just don't need to do that. And that's also biology. We're supposed to be pumping out kids, when we're young, because we can handle it. Just like birds, young birds are they're into mating because they're in the prime of their life, and that establishes the species moving forward. Older birds aren't interested. They want to leave. They want you to leave them alone. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. So that makes sense. And if that's your reality, it's better to admit that and find someone who's better suited for you rather than play the game and try to manipulate someone into a situation with you that's just not fair. So the goal, dear one, is to become unified with self, be honest with self, and be upfront in the relationships and not use the sexual experience as a pawn. If you're a female, you don't use sex against your husband. Stop it. Knock it off. Have a conversation that's honest. And if you need to get a divorce, get a divorce. And if you're a man, you don't use sex against your wife. You don't cheat on her either. You tell the truth. If you're not happy, you say, hey, listen, we have to go address this. I don't want to do this outside our marriage. That's how we move forward, dear one. So I'm just hoping that this has enlightened you a little bit and added another angle for you to perceive this very sticky dynamic from, because it's about the expanding of awareness and opening up your mind and pushing yourself outside the limits that you're used to. Because Einstein says you can't fix a problem with the same level of intelligence that created the problem. Just remember that I was supposed to go back to scripture. Codependency is broken when you begin telling the truth. The truth sets you free. I don't care where that piece of information came from. It just happens to come out of a book called the Bible, and I believe in it. So I hope you don't shoot me, the messenger, and just be open to the idea that codependency is broken. The spell is broken when you start telling your truth. No matter what it is, no matter how scary it is, and no matter how uncomfortable people get with your truth, and no matter how uncomfortable you are with your truth, the truth sets you free. Do not attach to an outcome, dear one. Just start telling the truth. I bow to the love and light in you, and I really honor you for being soldiers.